Hello and welcome to Clarity Cohort number 1. We are going to be talking today about triggers, managing our triggers. And we are on a path to simplify how we approach peace in our life. And so I am going to share my screen and we're going to get started with Clarity Cohort number 1. So let me push the screen button and we'll get started. All right, I want to tell you a little bit about myself here in just a minute. But first, remember that simplifying your path to peace is going to come with clarity. So we're going to talk a little bit about what clarity is. And today we're going to focus on managing triggers and emotional well-being. So if you are here because you want to break free from perfectionism and you want to embrace a more balanced and intentional approach to life, then welcome. You're in the right place. This event is for you. If you are ready to stop letting external expectations control your happiness and start living on your own terms, then this event is for you. And if you are looking to reconnect with your inner calm and you want to build resilience to navigate life's challenges with confidence, then this event is for you. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm Cindy Brockway, and I am a self-expansion coach. I'm a wife, a mom, a caregiver, and a grandma of 12 gorgeous grandchildren. I'm also an educator, a mentor, and a coach. And I have been doing these coaching since 1980, giving hope to those of differing abilities, regardless of their age and responsibilities. I'm also a multi-passionate grannypreneur. I opened my Etsy shop in 2010, and it's still going strong. I am the visionary behind the Courage Hub. This is the home of the Mind Moments membership and the Self-Expansion Experience. These are all interactive conversations and practical tools that are tailored to help you achieve what you'd like to as a high-achieving, resourceful adult. I'm also a jewelry designer, I'm an aromatherapy enthusiast, and I'm a clean wine groupie. Welcome to my she shed. This is where I'm at. And one more thing I love to do, go glamping. We love that. We camp a lot. We have a 38-foot pool behind. It is tons of fun. And my favorite words are simplify, implement, organize, and contentment. So if you are ready to create some transformation in your life, you want to learn how to practice consistently what you want to put into place so that you can build your self-confidence, then keep following. We're getting started right now. The first thing I want you to write down is why clarity is important to you. So take a second to write that down. Seeking clarity is really about getting insight that we need to move forward with our goals, whether we're working on something on a more personal level or on a professional level. So clarity is important. Getting that insight you need to move forward is important. So take a few minutes to either stop this recording and write down why clarity is important to you. All right, we're going to start today's session with a little bit of a comparison. Constant motion versus procrastination. They are very different entities. However, they are both similar in that they are an avoidance mechanism. Constant busyness, it distracts us from deeper issues. Procrastination, it delays action due to being uncertain. So both of these lead to a point where clarity is essential for us to move forward. We need to break that cycle of stuckness or sameness and take meaningful, intentional steps. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Busyness for me was like a form of being productive. And for years, I caught myself in a cycle of overachievement. I was taking on additional responsibilities at work, at church, in the community. I was pushing myself to meet these high expectations that I had for myself, and I literally spent years working harder, not smarter. And this busyness was not just a pattern at work. It was a way for me to avoid facing deeper issues that were going on in my life. But at the time, I didn't see it as that. There were layers of emotional strain that really clouded my clarity. I was working toward my master's degree. I was dealing with a divorce. My son's criminal conviction came in there. And this just created layers of stress and upheaval. And it really kind of intensified my need for a distraction, to stay busy, to avoid those very uncomfortable things that were going on, and to procrastinate on things that I probably should have been doing, but I just didn't have the energy. And this impacted me both personally and professionally. And it was this constant juggling and layers of emotional strain that mask my need for emotional healing. And dealing with these challenges forced me into a 3-month medical leave due to chronic migraines and clinic depression. And it was during that time that I realized how much I really needed that clarity. I needed to reassess my priorities. I needed to align with my true goals. And I needed to pursue meaningful change that was going to get me back on track. And so this Clarity Cohort Challenge or collection is designed to help you navigate similar cycles of busyness and procrastination. You are going to find that this is a space to find clarity and to realign your actions with what truly matters to you. So, over the next 3 cohorts, we are going to cover 3 separate topics. Number 1, identifying triggers. We're going to confront those challenges and those triggers that really fortify our ability so that we can fortify our ability to adapt and persevere and thrive in the face of adversity. So we're going to confront them head on, and that is in today's session. The next cohort is going to be dealing with how to manage with stress effectively so that you can become more resilient and pliable, and you can bounce back, because we're going to deal with tons of stress in our life. There's no way around it. But being able to effectively manage that stress is going to help you break the cycle of constant busyness. It's going to foster more mindfulness, a more balanced approach to life, to your time, to the activities that you expend a lot of energy on. This balance is going to create some room for reflection, and that is going to lead to better clarity, and that clarity is going to lead to more purposeful living. And that's what it's all about. The third session, which is the final cohort in the Clarity Cohort collection, is on implementing those techniques. It's by incorporating these techniques into our daily life that we can really shift from a reactive state of constant busyness or constant procrastination to a proactive approach to intentional living. So let's get out our notebooks and get started. We are on our way. Today, we're going to talk about triggers. So being able to understand your triggers empowers you to manage your emotional reactions and to maintain inner peace. And this is something that is an internal response, fortifying yourself internally. It's going to take mindness and clarity. And both of these are a practice of being fully present and aware of the current moment without being judgmental or hard on yourself. It's going to mean that you pay attention to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your surroundings, so that you can face every day with an open and accepting attitude. And I want to emphasize that clarity is more than a moment. It's more than spending time doing a little bit of meditation or participating in some type of a journaling activity or experience. Clarity, when it is used intentionally, it becomes a movement in your life, not just a moment. It is going to equip you with the tools you need to handle stress. You're going to have a balanced, calm perspective. So think about that. Are you able to say that when things get really off kilter, that you approach them with balance and calm? Sometimes that doesn't happen, especially when we're high achievers and we're going nonstop all the time. We've got the pedal to the metal because we think that that's what we need to do to get the most accomplished. But if you can make clarity a movement in your life, it is going to lead to overall well-being that you have never experienced. So let's talk about this busyness and procrastination. What happens instead of pausing and getting clarity, reflecting, figuring out what needs to happen next, we just get caught in this cycle of doing more and feeling less connected to our true goals and values. We just keep going. I call it spinning our wheels. So either way, or doing nothing at all, being procrastinating on things that mean a lot to us. So either way, we're spinning our wheels. We're expending a lot of energy without really moving forward the way we had envisioned it. So let's think about this. When we are in this busyness mode or this pattern of procrastinating, we need to dig a little bit deeper. We want to identify patterns in our responses to what's going on around us. So we're going to look at recurring situations, people, and task. Do you see a consistent vein or thread that triggers those negative emotions or reactions? Are there specific situations where you always procrastinate? Or you always put the pedal to the metal? Are there certain people, when you're around them, you find that you're being triggered? And maybe it's a certain task that you really just can't wrap your head around. And every time you have to perform it, you are just in a state of frustration, and especially if it's a task that has come about by something that you did not initiate. And that happens a lot in life because life is not always about doing what we want to do. It's about doing things we have to do. And this is where that self-sabotage comes in. It often manifests itself when we encounter triggers. Certain situations, emotions, and thoughts, all of these can provoke a reaction that is rooted in this fear and this insecurity, or it's maybe even things that come back to us from past experiences that cause self-sabotage to happen in our day-to-day life. Let's look at the situational triggers. Certain situations, such as juggling lots of responsibilities, maybe receiving some sort of feedback or interaction with someone that was critical and not what you expected. Maybe you are someone who overcomplicates your choices. You're always overthinking things. These can trigger feelings of inadequacy. And we respond in different ways to these triggers. So instead of confronting these challenges directly, what we do is self-sabotage. We doubt our abilities. We maybe avoid the task or avoid a particular person. And when you put these things together, they lead to a lack of clarity and lack of progress. You just spinning your wheels. And it doesn't feel comfortable. And when we're spinning our wheels, these emotional things seem to come into play. Emotions like anxiety, stress, fear. These are all natural responses when we feel discomfort, when things are just not what we were expecting. And so you can get caught in this cycle that leads to procrastination, avoidance, and negative self-talk. And these are really all forms of self-sabotage, things that prevent us from taking meaningful action. And then cognitive triggers. Think about those thoughts or beliefs that you may not verbalize, but you can feel it. Like you're not good enough, you don't have the right credentials. Maybe you're feeling like you're not going to be able to make the right decision. These can all act as triggers for self-sabotage. And these thoughts 100% create mental barriers for us. They cloud our judgment and they really inhibit clarity. This leads us to take actions or inaction that keeps us stuck. So this is where that busyness cycle comes into play, or the recurring procrastination. Think about these things. These all get us in a cycle of busyness or not doing anything at all, just staying stuck, treading water, spinning our wheels. So today we're going to talk about the key solutions for breaking that cycle. breaking the cycle. What is that going to look like for you? Being able to find real clarity and peace is going to happen, but you've got to slow down. You've got to allow yourself time to take purposeful action instead of just staying busy. Purposeful action. And where do we start? We start right where we're at. Just acknowledging our current state of feelings, no judgment. Again, I bring that up, not criticizing yourself when things are not going the way you thought they should, or the way you want them to, or the way you were promised that they were going to happen. So just acknowledge those feelings. Reflect on the moments when you feel the most overwhelmed, frustrated, or off balance. Take some time to journal on these things because they can reveal some common triggers that are keeping you spinning those wheels. So, what is necessary, I believe, and what I've put in place in my life are daily rhythms that support me. Learning how to create consistent routines that promote inner peace and help us to stay grounded. These rhythms, and we're going to call them anchor moments, can really minimize emotional triggers. Things like feeling out of control, limited thinking, like, I can't do that. It's not going to happen. This is never going to work. Boredom or stress. A lot of these things that lead to frustration in our day-to-day life. So let's just think about day-to-day life. You know what? Life is so unpredictable, and it's going to happen. It's inevitable. We are going to face many, many situations that we didn't predict, we didn't expect, and we need to learn to anticipate that and reframe all that chaos. So whether it's happening in the workplace, it's happening at home, it's happening in your relationships, think about it. Instead of fighting that chaos, acknowledge it. It's going to be a part of your journey. And if you can focus on how to navigate these bumps in the road with mindfulness, you are going to be on your way to getting the clarity that you need to live a contented life. So let's talk a little bit about these anchor practices. You're going to anchor yourself into some core practices, some daily rhythms that are going to help you to be able to cultivate that emotional balance that you're looking for and to maintain that calm and clarity even when life speeds up and things are running out of control. So we're going to go over how to utilize anchor moments. So I have a solo version that's going to be put into the portal, and you'll be able to access it anytime you want when you want to kind of practice this type of exercise, when you want to review your anchor moments. So let me click on this and open it up. And here we are. What are anchor moments? It's just time throughout the day where you are going to infuse calm. You're going to be very purposeful with this. So at the beginning of the day, I recommend that you spend a little bit of quiet time, even 5 minutes, in reflection or prayer. Use that time to set intentions. to stay connected with your spiritual center throughout the day, your emotional center, especially during challenging times. So, this should be one of your non-negotiables. In the morning, some people like to do it in the morning, some people like to do it in the evening. I'm more of a morning person. And when life gets busy, we sometimes neglect our morning routines. So I want you to set the intention to pause and reset in the morning, even when things are feeling chaotic. Because if you can do that, you are going to find peace regardless of what's going on around you. Here's an example of something that you can say, an affirmation, call it an intention statement, to keep you and settle you in the mornings. Today, I will stay connected to my inner calm and wisdom no matter what comes my way. You can choose that one, you can use your own, but maybe write it down somewhere, put it in your bathroom on the mirror or something. Some people even take these affirmations and these intention statements and they record them on their phone and then they listen to them in the morning. So those are options for you to do. But just know that what we're saying here is to start the day with intention. And then we're going to choose some anchor points for how we can put these moments in place in our routine and make sure that we utilize them. So we're going to choose 3 moments during the day where you feel like you tend to be stressed or you feel emotionally triggered. It could be before a meeting, after a meeting, when you're anticipating what you're going to fix for dinner. Maybe you're commuting to work, and that's when you kind of get frustrated and triggered. Maybe before bed, if you have trouble getting to sleep at night. These are times where you want to pick 3 that you want to revamp. And then we're going to put these anchor points in place for you to be able to address your need and desire for calm in a proactive way. Now, you can pause this video and write down these moments, these 3 times in your day, 3 events that happen consistently where you get triggered and you need an extra measure of calm, intentional calm. Write those 3 down and then label them your anchor points because you are going to be using those moments to do this, to spend time with yourself and to get yourself centered and grounded again. You're going to be in the moment during those times. You can set your phone. That's what I do. I set my phone so that I know when to do it. It reminds me, no matter what's going on around me, to just spend some time with myself. And when you get to that anchor point, when the alarm goes off and it says, whatever it is that you want to do, then take the time to do it. Don't just, silence that notification and keep going. Take the time to just pause for a minute or 2. You can close your eyes. You can take a deep breath. Just connect with your inner guidance so that you can rejuvenate yourself. It doesn't take long, just a few minutes to tap back into that calm. And then you're going to practice this. You're going to pay attention to your emotions and see how they shift and sway. And try to anchor yourself in a place of calm and clarity during these anchor points in your day. 3 anchor points. And then in the evening, take a few minutes and look back and say, wow, this day went better than I thought it did. Journal about how it went. If it didn't go better, if it was one of the worst days you've had in a long time, think about it and think about how you felt between each of those anchor moments. Maybe you didn't have time to utilize those anchor moments. And maybe that's why you're stressed or anxious or exhausted. So just take a few minutes in the evening to reflect and set your intentions for the next day. Write down what you want to do the next day. Notice any emotional or mental clarity that has come to mind. Kind of jot it down so you can revisit these feelings of positivity and feeling connected with who you are. And then just focus on practicing it consistently, day after day after day. And do it for at least a week and see how you feel. And each day that you put these into place, I want you to aim to improve your awareness. So you might start out with just a minute or two, but then you might feel compelled to turn that into 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can put it in there, because it seems like when you spend time regrouping and resetting at least 3 times a day, your body gets used to that. Your emotions get trained, and it will help you to get through your daily responsibilities with much more calm and less procrastination, less busyness. I think you'll see that happen. Now, these anchor moments, they're not a requirement, but I'd like for you to consider embracing these moments of connection in your daily life, because I feel certain that you are going to find it easier to handle that emotional stuff that comes along and to get a more clear picture of what you want your life to look like if you will take time to connect with yourself on a regular basis. And if this is something that you'd like to learn more about and you'd like to maybe have a group to participate in that can offer you some support and accountability, then consider joining the Mind Moments community. We are a supportive group and we get together every single week. We practice these practical strategies. We have lots of resources that we share amongst each other, and we are able to be a positive force in each other's lives. And these real conversations are really what it's about. And you will see personal growth and enhanced well-being. All right. That is our talk on these anchor moments. Let's get back now to the presentation. All right, so we've talked about anchor moments, and like I said, there is an activity in the portal for the anchor moments that you can do yourself. And it's what we just went through, but you can utilize it on your own time and kind of flesh out what those are going to look like for you and get your anchor points in place so that you can connect with yourself on a daily basis. Another thing that we need to do, or we will benefit us, is if we can create some emotional shields. And this is kind of like setting more clear boundaries. And when you take the time to do those anchor moments and do a little bit of journaling, I feel like you are going to have things come to mind that say, you know what? That's really not something I need to waste my time on, or this is something that means a lot more to me. And so you'll be setting some clear boundaries, either for yourself or for the people in your circle of influence. And it'll give you a chance to take care of yourself when things are calm. And that's what these emotional shields are like. You're just taking care of yourself when things are calm. You're feeding yourself, you're nurturing yourself. And this is going to help you be better equipped to handle stress. And it's guaranteed just about to reduce overwhelm when times get really tough and chaotic and uncertain. So, taking time, I can't emphasize this enough. Take time to pause and reflect. And the key thought here is that when we learn to reflect and choose how we're going to respond to everyday responsibilities, rather than just reacting and being impulsive, we are going to be happier and more content in our life, in our relationships, uh, in our responsibilities. So let's talk now about trigger mapping. And I am going to share with you the resource that is in the portal on how to utilize a trigger map. So, number one, you are going to just identify your triggers. I want you to think about situations that cause a really strong emotional reaction. It could be anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety, things that happen to, can put you in tears in just a second. And let's ask ourselves a couple of questions about it. What events or comments often upset me? So, if it is a situation, if it is a conversation, what are these things that upset you, that trigger your emotions regularly? And then, are there patterns or recurring themes in these situations? Recurring people that set you off? A recurring responsibility that just sets you off. You just can't deal with it. So think about what these things are, identify them, write them down. The next step is for you to get a little more descriptive. You are going to write down specific examples of these situations that trigger you. And then you're going to kind of, build it out. You're going to see who was involved when this happened. Let's take, for example, you get triggered at the grocery store and someone cuts in front of you. Who was involved? That person that cut in front of you. What happened? Explain what happened. Where did it happen? How did you react to it? So think about different situations in your life, the things that are particularly frustrating for you, and write them down and just describe what it looks like. There is no room here for making any judgments or decisions or, criticizing yourself. You're just bringing it out. You're just bringing it to your conscious by writing it out and describing it, just seeing what it looks like, just observing it. And then you're going to identify the emotional response. So you're writing down the event, the situation, the conversation, whatever it was, whatever it is that tends to trigger you. And then you're going to identify how you are responding. And you're going to put names to those emotions. So I blew it. Ask yourself, were you angry? Were you frustrated? Were you embarrassed? And how strong was that emotion? Was it just a fleeting emotion of anger and then you were able to move forward? Or was it much stronger? And what did that look like? So that is step number 3, identifying your emotional response. Now, you're going to spend a little bit of time trying to understand the root of what's going on. Reflect on that situation and how it triggered you. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself to help facilitate this process. Does this remind me of past experience? Was there an expectation that wasn't met? Like, did you have a certain expectation and they didn't meet your expectations, and now everything's in a mess? Do I feel out of control in these moments? And let's be real, be open, and be honest with yourselves when you're trying to just identify and understand what might be at the root of this. And then is when you're going to break down all of this that you've talked about in your journal, that you've written out, that you've brainstormed, kind of like a brain dump. And you're going to break down how you reacted to that trigger. So think about the way you consciously reacted, and maybe things that were unconscious at the time, but now that you've been exploring it, you realize, man, yeah, that got me in a tizzy. I was upset and anxious all day long because of that situation. And then I want you to just explore that. Did you withdraw? Did you argue? Did you shut down? What thoughts went through your mind when that happened? And people find it helpful to do this for certain situations or conversations or people or tasks or responsibilities where they're constantly getting triggered. You know, you can probably think of something right now in your life that just sets you off. And if it does, then this is a good opportunity for you to kind of map it out so that you can decide what it's going to look like in the future. What's the difference? Where is the gap? Look at the difference between the trigger and what you did do and what you wish you would have done. What is your desired outcome so that this doesn't continue to trigger you over and over and over? How would you prefer to react in the future? And what response aligns with your values and goals? So think it out, think it through. Give yourself the opportunity to be that ideal person in your mind. This is where you are here. This is where you'd like to be when that happens again. So figure out what is the gap in there. And then you're going to create your plan. You are going to create a plan for how you want to handle this situation again in the future. When it comes back, you are going to respond this way. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to pause, reflect, and choose a better response next time? Figure that out, because the more, and this is the way behavior works in our lives, the more we are in control of that behavior and the more we practice what we want it to look like as opposed to what happens just, impulsively, then we are going to get better and better at responding to these situations as they arise. It's just like learning how to walk, learning how to drive, learning how to ride a bike, whatever it is. The more you practice, the better you get. And pretty soon, you are gliding down that street like nobody's business. So here are 6 areas that you might want to consider when you are doing your trigger map. You may feel like work and business is where your stress is, and that is what is causing you to just lose it all the time. You've got a lot of deadlines, the workloads are just, unbelievable. Maybe there's difficult colleagues, maybe there's performance pressure. That was a big one for me. And some people face job insecurity on a regular basis, and that can definitely be triggering. Think about maybe financial pressures that are just weighing really heavy on you. Money related stress like debt or, not being able to stick to your budget, maybe future planning in as far as it relates to your income. Think about those things. Some people need to get a little bit of insight on transitions and uncertainty. Like maybe you're having a major life change. Maybe you're moving. Maybe you need to get a new job. Maybe there's changes in your family dynamics. Um, and you're just not coping well with all of this uncertainty. This is a good time to do a trigger map. Now, think about personal expectations like perfectionism, fear of failure, some unrealistic demands you put on yourself, or maybe pressure from someone else that they're putting on you and you just don't need it. Or maybe it's just this our society. This is the way they've always done it. They have this expectation. For me, that was a big one because the expectation of an educator is to work 24/7. And I learned that that is just not going to cut it for me. And then the last two, health and well-being and relationships. So start with an empty slate, a blank slate. Choose what triggers you are going to map out, and then follow those steps in the trigger mapping exercise. All right. And like I said, this exercise is in the portal, so you are going to be able to get in there and use it whenever you see fit and you feel the need to be able to do that. And we're almost finished here. Let's talk about putting all of this together. So we talked about the anchor points. We talked about the finding patterns and what's going on through doing some emotional mapping or empathy. Doing some trigger mapping. That's the word I was thinking of. And then we want to do emotional check-ins. We want to really check in with ourselves regularly and see what the emotional state is throughout the day. During your anchor moments, focus on being fully present and aware of what's going on around you and just absorb and feel that warm personal hug that you give to yourself when you take time to tune everything out and center in on your inner core, what really matters to you. These things are going to help you recognize shifts in your mood throughout the day rather than just having things pile up and at the end of the day or, after lunch, you just blow it. If you are able to use some of these anchor moments to recognize when things are getting a little difficult, a little hard for you to handle, so that you can pinpoint what you need to do so that these emotions don't set you back on a regular basis. A final activity for you that is in the portal is the compassionate letter. You'll find it in there. This is what it looks like. And it is an opportunity for you to, it's a writing exercise. And I want you to create a calm and supportive environment for yourself. And this activity is one that I did a number of years ago when I was working through that medical leave and trying to pull my life back together. This exercise ended up being one of the most pivotal exercises that I did. And I put it aside. I didn't know for sure if this was going to be helpful or not. But once I did it, I mean, it was profound. So this tells you how to start this compassionate letter. It gives you some ideas on what to write. And it will be an exercise I think that you will find helpful. And to be honest with you, this is something that I did in 2020 when I was going through uh, my program, the Self-Expansion Unlock, that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. And I was just really surprised at how much this helped me. And that was in 2020. And I still look at that letter and read some of the things I wrote to myself when I need a boost, when I feel like things are feeling just really out of control. That compassionate letter makes a big difference to me because it allows me to say nice things to me and to just regroup and feel a little bit better and move forward. So we're talking about self-expansion. That's what this cohort collection is about. Several ways for you to expand the way you look at things. Today, it was expanding on how you are going to identify and react to these triggers that you have in your life, these situations that are keeping you stuck. You're spinning wheels. You want to see some change. You want things to shift. And so we're going to expand how we do that. We can't just keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. And I know you've heard that before. So self-expansion is really about finding practical, actionable solutions that are going to empower you to break that cycle of emotional stress so that you can thrive in all areas of your life. And I happen to have this self-expansion program. It's called Self-Expansion Unlocked that I utilize in my coaching programs. It is a program that allows you to take yourself to that next level in your personal growth. There's 12 tailored learning modules, and these focus on core areas of personal growth. They include modules on the mind, the body, belonging, your relationships, and circumstances. And in these modules, there are step-by-step pathways for you to grow. They're structured, there's very clear action steps, and they are designed to help you go through the self-expansion process and achieve measurable progress in your life. In this program, there are interactive exercises and tools. Some that are very similar to what we utilize today in Cohort 1. There are hands-on activities, and it gives you an opportunity to apply what you've learned, to track your progress, and integrate this learning into your daily life. You know, I talked with someone just the other day, and she said, I know all this. And I said, oh, you know all this? And she said, yeah, I know all this. I just can't seem to put it into practice. And that's what this Self-Expansion Unlocked program is about. It gives you some goal-setting frameworks that are going to help you target where you want to grow and where you want to have the most impact, and then go for it. You'll find lots of self-discovery activities in this, ways of really digging in and understanding your unique strengths and areas where you want to grow. So it's really just about utilizing some guided self-expansion projects. Projects that will encourage you to apply what you're learning in practical ways. And throughout the process, you will end up building yourself a personalized guidebook. It's really cool. It is an app that you will be able to utilize. It's going to have some custom templates in there for you, some structure for you and how to really enhance your clarity and focus in the here and now. If this is something you're interested in, there is a wait list at the moment. And if you join the wait list, I will let you know when the next cohort is available. All right, we're at the end of Clarity Cohort 1, and you may have some questions that you would like answered. There is a thread in my Facebook community, Essentials for Peace and Balance, where you can go in and ask questions and get them answered. So I will make sure that those links are in the portal for you. All right, thank you for joining me. I'm going to stop sharing so we can say goodbye. I want to encourage you to take the pieces of today's lesson in uh, to mind, to heart, and see what you can do for yourself. See what a difference it can make in your life. And then make sure that you share those with someone. Share the decisions that you've made so that they can help you continue to live in this bubble of clarity that you are building for yourself. Thank you again, and we will see you in cohort number 2.